Djokovic and Federer will fight for the two greatest guys in history. Alex Eala hold a tennis racket loudly and in public fervently defending a Filipino girl aged 20, and the tennis community was utterly taken aback. But bear with us as this tale continues much more profound than the headlines. There was hatred, there was love, and there was an issue involving scheduling that humiliated the WT fans in Dubai were making comparisons. Her to Taylor Swift. Additionally, there was a moment at a crowded stadium in Melbourne when the weight of a whole country collapsed on the shoulders of a single young lady and almost broke her. You selected this video with a purpose. When we're completed, you'll comprehend why Alex Eala is more than simply a budding tennis player. The most important thing is her occur in a generation in this sport, and there is a cost associated with it that nobody cautioned her. Prior to reaching Djokovic and Federer, you must recognize the origins of this girl. Since there was nothing in this tale that was expected to occur, imagine this. You are 13 years old. You get out of your City house, Philippines. Travel across an ocean and arrive in the most difficult place in Spain is Mallorca. Rafael, the world's best tennis school, Nadal's Academy. A location constructed on obsession, self-control, and the conviction that nothing worthwhile is easy to get. The majority of children cannot withstand the strain. Most children return home. Alex Eala did not attend. At home, Alexandra was born on May 23, 2005. Manoa is a businessman's daughter. Risa Mano Aya and Mike Aya, a former bronze-winning national swimmer, gold in the Southeast Asian Games in 1985. She didn't merely choose to play tennis willing to have fun. It was a vocation. Additionally, from as soon as she reached Spain, she made it her whole universe. The sacrifice was verified by the outcomes. Eala attained a junior composite rating in the ITF of the second-ranked world in October 2020 and became the first Filipino to win a significant junior championship by taking possession of the girls' the 2022 U.S. Open singles division. The whispers started at that point began the Philippines had a tennis match. Prodigy Junior Championships, however, are one something. The WTA Tour is a completely distinct universe. The path from junior champion to compete at the tour level is where the most promising athletes break. The grinds, the journey exhausts you. The losses accumulate in ways that the junior circuit you were never ready for. Additionally, for the changeover was terrible. Yeah, she struggled. She was eligible. She was defeated in early rounds. She returned home with nothing from each of the 4 Grand Slam qualifiers draws. Critics started to question whether the juniors' achievement was an anomaly, if the phenomena of Filipinas was just a narrative that people were drawn to. Next, when Miami 2025 arrived, everything was different. Placed 140th in the world when the competition began, you was given a primary get a Miami Open wildcard. Let's let that figure sink in. 140. She wasn't even meant to be in the appeal. She was unpredictable, an afterthought, the kind of player you look at the bracket and proceed from. Her name was not circled by anybody. No one penned summaries about her. No one in Alex thought of their wildest fantasies. You was going to revise Philippine history of tennis. Only Alex. The events that followed in Miami weren't merely a tennis outcome. It was an earthquake. Additionally, the tennis community was totally not ready for it. Round by round, the wild card continued to win. Initially, Eala beat the previous winner of the French Open, Ostapenko, Galina. Then proceeded with another significant triumph over 2025 Madison Keys, winner of the Australian Open, becoming the first woman from the Philippines to defeat a Grand Slam winner and a player in the top 10 during a WTA function. The world of tennis began observing, but the earthquake was still on its way. A casual stroll over Paula Badosa, the 10th seed into the largest triumph, was set up by the round of 16. Of Eala's professional life, an exceptional upset of Auz Fiat, the second-ranked player in the quarterfinals. The women's queen tennis. The lady who had scared all of the touring players. Absent, unconscious by a country's 19-year-old Wilder that was never in the WTA top 100 participant. After the victory, she became the first Filipina to compete in the WTA 1000 semifinal. In addition to the first her nation to defeat a player rated in the top 5. The stadiums were electric. The diaspora of Filipinos, which on every continent in the world, they all went insane. Social media servers almost melted, and Eala was standing on the court with the same. She constantly exudes calmness. Smile that Paul Anacon would subsequently describe in such a flawless manner. She has a beaming grin that fills the space. I recall when she defeated Agos Fiatek last year, and she executed it with a great deal of elegance and humility. Humility and grace. Those words are crucial. Keep these in mind, because later on in the narrative, when the commotion surrounding her became terrible, it were the precise attributes that kept her standing. Eala said on the Sit Down podcast, "I believe that Miami run must be the pinnacle of my professional life, thus distance. That's what made me famous. After that, everything clicked. I look back then and I just believe, wow, that was very crazy." The appropriate term from the wildcard at 140 to historic semifinalist, ranging from unidentified to arriving in only 2 weeks, that there was a new hero in the Philippines and that the world of tennis has a new fixation. However, something emerged from that fixation. Nobody had anticipated this. Something that would compel two of the biggest myths in the history of tennis to enter the dialogue. Anything that would chaotic, intricate, and very human. When Novak Djokovic begins discussing he wasn't at a news conference with you, inquired about you, you are aware that you have transformed into something else. Hold on to observing. In January of 2026, the Open in Australia, Melbourne Park, the largest Grand Slam in the schedule, and Alex Eala is currently in the top 50, was competing in the Australian Open main make-a-draw debut. The competition anticipated large crowds. They were unprepared for what really took place. Even the lines were lengthy. Prior to Eala's game at a smaller location, which the Australian Open mentioned in its official social media profile for next, thinking about larger venues time, there were a lot of fans. The vitality was not like anything Melbourne has ever seen. For the first round of women's competition in many years, and seeing how everything develops with the calm interest of a man who has lived, it was Novak Djokovic himself. That the 24-time Grand Slam winner lacked to speak, but he did. Additionally, when Djokovic talks, the tennis community pays attention. I recently saw Alex Eala. Yes, it has been discussed, which is comprehensible. There are some players from the corresponding nations as if she is from the Philippines. This is now rather significant. She has been the greatest tennis player in history from that nation that is both large and there is a lot of interest. Djokovic said that he didn't end there. It's encouraging. We want more attention. More people are what we desire arriving, and we want more viewers playing tennis live and watching it live streaming. He said, coming from Djokovic, a guy who dedicated his whole being someone's career's antagonist, someone else's tale of stardom. The individual who had to battle for love in places that constantly praised Federer. Those words conveyed weight. He wasn't only recognizing Alice's following. He was confirming it, supporting it, and informing the world. This is beneficial for tennis. Allow it to occur. The Federer connection came next. Roger had not made a straight statement. However, Paul Anacon, his old coach, was on television discussing Eala. Additionally, the comparisons that were now being created by the media, they were Federer-level comparisons. The tennis of Sky Sports, according to Gigi Salmon, players are already saying, which they formerly said with Roger. Federer, I am aware that you did not support me, but I really appreciate it. Consider that WTA Players Tournaments were now expressing regret to fans of Eala for keeping them waiting, precisely the manner in which they used to express regret to Federer supporters for sharing court. That isn't your typical tennis match narrative. It's a phenomena. Jeannie Buzzard appeared on the Tennis Channel and responded in just, "Yeah, Taylor Swift." When questioned about whether she had seen any women athletes get the type of worldwide Eala's enjoyment of support prior to comparison her fame to Sonia Mesa at the pinnacle of Indian tennis enthusiasts Taylor Swift, Roger, Michael Jordan, and Sonia Mesa Federer. These were the names that were affixed to a 20-year-old from the Philippines who a year before was unable to complete a Grand Slam round of qualification. However, this is what you must comprehend. The larger the flame, the heat is more hazardous. And what was Alex Eala's next move? The most surprising source would tremble her whole being. The hatred did not materialize from competitors. It did not originate from detractors. It originated with those who were meant to adore her the most. Additionally, it became so severe that Rafael Nadal was forced to directly intervene. She didn't win her first round of the Australian Open. Eala was eliminated by the WTA in the first round. 99 Alicia Parks 6-3-6-2-6. It was a difficult defeat in a 3-set match. She retaliated. She gave it her all. However, she was defeated. Additionally, you lose in athletics. Occasionally, that's the truth. That's the agreement each rival makes when they enter a court. What took place next, however, has nothing to do with athletics. Kim Clears spoke about her love every podcast after her defeat against Alicia Parks at the Australian Open and a final 3-setter. She also received a lot of hatred from both her admirers and the Philippines world and her supporters from her nation of origin. Hatred from her own admirers, from the millions of Filipinos who had wept for her, rejoiced for her, watched her all night long have fun. When she lost, a part of that affection curled into something poisonous. Comments on social media turned. The strain of being a national hero, of being likened to Michael Jordan, of bearing 110 pounds, the hopes of 1 million people on your racket suddenly came tumbling down. And who, into the storm to keep her safe? Her mentor is Rafael Nadal, the guy who she was influenced by, the school whose court she initially became familiar with, the game whose work she spent years absorbing this ethic. Clusters observed that after the Australian Open, Rafael Nadal discussed his experience as something of a shield for her. This is the section of the narrative that the headlines missed. While everyone was arguing Ya's timetable, her group, and her rating, Nadal was discreetly ensuring she wasn't shattered by the individuals who declared their love for her, as that's what mentors do. Isa also had one of the best coaches in tennis history observing her in return. Clears continued, she's still very young, yet we see the mental progress as well. She has interacted with others, has a demanding outlook, but is also very focused on what you need to put. You are courteous at work, and I believe it's not a coincidence that she having the outcome she has, that the 4-time Grand Slam winner didn't just stop there. She continued, and you was considered to one of the most athletes throughout history who have been put to the test according to clusters is similar to in the Philippines Michael Jordan, and emphasized the significance of her being safeguarded as she negotiates superstardom at such a young age. Jordan Michael shielded the same 2 terms tell me a phrase about a tennis player. All the information you want about the scope of the situation. This is now more than simply tennis. This is culture. This is the identity of the country. This is the specific insanity that falls when a whole group of individuals pour their combined optimism into a single human person and then respond when that person dares to be human. However, the animosity from supporters was merely a portion of the issue. What the WDAY was performing or failing to perform for Alex Eala had the whole tennis community incensed, and the discussion that ensued, nobody was prepared for it. Let's discuss what was occurring inside the company. Because while fans were debating on the internet and legends were voicing their opinions in public, a more subdued institutional kind of people were acting disrespectfully and were beginning to take notice. During the competition, following the competition, Eala was placed on side courts, smaller courts, and courts it was unable to accommodate the arriving throngs go visit her. During the Australian Open, the outside her venue lineups were remarkable, as well as the competition itself noted on social media that larger courts need to take her into consideration. Contests in the future. Consider that the tournament had to acknowledge in public that they'd made a mistake in Dubai, that the discussion came to a boiling pitch. Organizers of tournaments have often Eala was planned at odd hours on smaller courts, not taking use of her fame till ultimately surpassing her encounter with Jasmine Paolini. She was positioned last on center court on February 17th, providing her with the cold major event time of the night session. Additionally, when she left for that game, Salman described the mood in Dubai. It resembled a pop concert. It was like if Taylor Swift were performing a pop performance during a tennis match for a 20-year-old on a Tuesday evening in the desert. However, the subject of crowd behavior had developed into a distinct discussion of its own. Every supporters, many of them are novice tennis players. Umpires called them out for their lack of manners, and online tennis supporters for encouragement even on faults and during rallies mistakes made by Alice's rivals. It produced friction. Some supporters thought they were being policed. A few critics felt justified. The internet divided in half. Next, Coco Gauff, after his victory against Eala in the Dubai quarterfinals, accomplished something outstanding on the court. Gauff said, "Whenever you guys were supporting Alex and I was acting, I believe it was helpful since it was my name a lot. If you're unable to defeat them, you need to go with them." Gauff's pure class and an implicit recognition of something the size of Alice's fanbase, strong, loud, and overpowering that even her rivals had to figure out how to deal with it mentally. Federer territory here. This is Serena territory. This is the area set aside once per generation. Athletes who change the spaces they enter. A survey of tennis enthusiasts revealed that Alex Eala was chosen by 79% of preferred over Coco Gauff, with 89% of votes over Emma Raducanu. Not inside the Philippines in the international tennis tournament community. The girl came in at number 31 in the US Open, was being outpaced by the globe. Winner of popularity competitions. There had been a fundamental change the sky, according to Gigi Salmon of Sports Tennis bluntly, in terms of her, I would say, attraction, the throngs of people that follow her. She may be the biggest celebrity, already 20 years old in the present tense, which she still has the most of her career ahead of her. What does this all lead to then? What occurs when the most well-liked participant in additionally women's tennis is still in its infancy, figuring out how to weather the storm she produced? The response has already been written, and it's much more remarkable, more than you can fathom. Alex Eala showed up, grabbed a wild card, and departed with the attention of the globe. She defeated the greatest, carried a country, endured the hatred, and returned stronger each and every time. Her ascent was referred to by Djokovic as a good issue. Nadal intervened to defend her, and legends from all across the game couldn't stop discussing her. She is 20 years of age. She is rated 31st in the whole planet. At Indian Wells, she is seated and she's just now beginning. It is not unclear whether Alex Eala will become one of the greatest. The query: how much are we prepared to let her to be? Post your response in the comment section. Do you believe Alex Eala will win a major prize? Slam before to her 25th birthday. Tell us down below. This is the Tennis Discourse. The world already has, and we want to listen to your thoughts. If this tale becomes distinct, if you experienced anything, if you're viewing this, you already know this channel is unique. We don't just discuss tennis. We narrate the tales inside the sport that no one else is discussing. The drama, the feeling, and the instances that alter everything. Click subscribe, then click the bell, as Alex Eala's narrative is far from over, and you don't want to miss it. But follows.